Heavy metal rock.
Global mind.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to My Global Mind. Today we have Vicky and Rob from Sicksense to talk about their new EP that's coming out April 22nd called Kings Today. So welcome, guys, and thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
It's a really fierce album, so congratulations to you.
Thanks. We're very excited for it. It's been a long time coming.
I can imagine. You guys have both successful careers in other bands. Tell me about the decision to collaborate together for Sicksense.
Oh, you want me to take it?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
So actually, while I was speaking on that note, I was in Stuck Mojo at the time, and I still am. But they had gotten a lot of success with their other band, Fozzy. Rich and Frank and Stuck Mojo are also in Fozzy.
Right.
And the Judas album kicked off back in 2017. So around that time, I was looking to start a new project, very similar to Stuck Mojo. I wanted to keep doing the rap metal thing. So I found Bran, our guitarist, who's now in Sicksense. Bran and Cody were in this previous band called Keychain. They were looking for a new singer. I auditioned, and then they were looking for a second vocalist. So I suggested, well, why don't we work with my wife, Vicky? I think she's going to be perfect for this style of music. And the rest was history. And we decided to, given that Vicky and I were both in the band and we came from previously successful bands, we wanted to start fresh with a brand new name, and Sicksense was born.
No, that's fantastic. What was the first thing that the two of you ever collaborated on musically? And was it for fun, or was it in front of an audience?
You want to take this one?
Well, it was make believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Sicksense, it was make believe.
Yeah. I mean, for fun, sure. We sang here at home, I think like
Right.
once with friends we did like a piano karaoke of like maybe In the End from Linkin Park, like as a fun thing. But for Sicksense, it was make believe. That was like the first song that we wrote together, thinking that it would have two vocalists on it. And I think when the rest of the band members heard, well, Bran and Cody heard that chorus, they were like, yeah, definitely.
We want Vicky. Yeah. Because initially when I had auditioned with them, I had written, they sent me 3 demos. I worked on 2 of the songs myself with just myself in mind. So it was mostly rap based. But then for the third one, before I started working on that, they asked to have a second vocalist in the band. So I was like, okay, well, let's introduce Vicky and see what that's going to sound like. And it was make believe. So.
Was there ever concern that your vocal styles might not blend?
I don't think so. I mean, we both love music, and we like Rob has more of a old school hip hop influence there, and with his screaming, a very like hardcore approach. And whereas I'm more like from the European side of metal when it comes to my screaming, and like the melodic death metal side, and then I sing, he doesn't sing. So I just felt like we both brought different things to the table. We both bring different things to the table, and it blends well because you don't have two people trying to do the same thing,
Yeah, we're not competing against each other. We're really, our vocal styles are complementing each other. So I'm doing the rapping and the screaming, and Vicky does it all. She does the rapping, screaming, the singing. She's like the female Mike Patton, pretty much. So it's very cool to have 2 vocalists in the band that can cover all those bases.
Well, that's a great response. My wife and I, we're in the pharmaceutical industry, and we never run out of anything to talk about. And we work relatively close, even sometimes on the same floor at the office building. Do you guys always have something to talk about musically? Is there always something going on?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like Vicky and I, we breathe music. This is all we do. So we're always talking about it together with everything.
Yeah, like from originals with both our bands, or Sicksense,
Yeah.
or like guest features that we might do, or covers just for fun to practice our vocals. There's always something. Like sometimes I'll run out of ideas, and I'll ask him, I'm like, what do you think is a good song I should learn from a band that I don't listen to, that you listen to, that you think will help me improve my
And
vocals?
draw inspiration.
Yeah. So there's always that back and forth,
I was wondering if this EP came out of the whole COVID thing, like you guys were kind of locked down, couldn't tour, and musically working together. Did that have any impact on putting this together?
No,
Mm.
it certainly sounds that way,
Yeah,
but
Yes.
no.
it might sound that way, but no, we were working on these songs like as early as late 2017. We wrote
Oh,
3 of
wow.
the songs, and then we wrote the rest of the songs actually in 2018, and only wrote 2 other songs in 2019. But we were going into this like writing a full album, so we have a full album's worth of material ready. But we decided, because of the COVID pandemic, decided to split it into 2 separate EPs so that we can
Yeah.
prolong things. And we were very patient with everything.
Yeah,
Um,
because basically what happened is we recorded our vocals to this album end of 2019, and we were thinking we were going to take 2020 to film some music videos and have everything ready to launch.
Right.
And as soon as the pandemic happened, we're in Chicago, our bandmates are in Canada. Canada had really severe restrictions for travel,
mhm.
Yes.
and we made a collective decision to not release anything without a music video.
Yeah. And then
Smart.
prior to that, I'll just add that the other reason why we were really delayed was because of me. I'm an immigrant here in the United States. I'm actually Canadian, so I was waiting to go through the immigration process and get my permanent residency, which I did, but that took time, being as the rest of the band is in Canada.
Mhm.
So it took a minute for us to actually all be there together with me, and because I am a big part of the band, obviously. Like I take
You
care
think?
of a lot of the lyrics and all that. So we had to wait. So
That's fair.
I was very grateful that they were patient. The rest of the guys, like a lot of people are impatient in this industry and they don't want to wait that long, but they waited all this time, and then the COVID pandemic happened. They waited even longer, and finally in 2021, 2022, we released stuff.
It definitely makes you feel appreciated, right?
Yeah.
When your band, other members, other human beings are willing to put their lives and their own passion, on hold just for you.
Yeah, I think it's the right wait, the right time to come out, and I think it was definitely worth the wait. And I think your approach is fantastic. And now things are opening up, and you could go out and really promote and tour and have conversations with me and other reporters. So that's fantastic. So good for you guys. Good choice.
Thank you.
Though your music is very intense, the look of the band is not as intense. It's has a different vibe to it than the respective bands that you're in.
Mhm.
And it reminded me of like maybe the Foo Fighters. They're like changing the scene a little bit and making things more fun and laid back. And was that the intent that you guys wanted to do, and you wanted separate identities from what you do in your respective bands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we didn't do it on purpose. We didn't
Mhm.
do it as what is my other band doing? Let me do the complete opposite. It was more of a throwback, at least for me. Like when I think of the first time that I discovered heavier music in those crossover bands like Linkin Park or Evanescence, not like the heavy stuff. It definitely gave me not necessarily a lighthearted approach, but it felt different from everything else that was on the radio and everything else in the visuals. So when you're in the metal world and everyone's like, we got to wear black and we got to be serious and this and that,
Right.
you're like, okay, that's cool. And 90% of my wardrobe is black, as you can see. But sometimes it's okay to add a little bit of color, and just have fun with it. And I think we'd rather our music have that serious tone and the messages and meaning behind the lyrics, but we're just really making music because we love it and we're having fun with it.
Yeah, and then just to quickly add to that, also me being in Stuck Mojo and being influenced by Rich, his attitude with things is same thing with Stuck Mojo. The lyrics are very serious, but then when we play live shows, he's always having a good time, and he really pushes for that to have just a great vibe and great atmosphere. And we're doing the same thing in Sicksense, where it's a lot of good attitudes and vibes, and very colorful. We're taking the outfits to a different approach with colors and stuff, and trying to.
And your videos have a sense of humor to them too. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And that's important. I think that's important in music. I think you have to show entertainment and fun and humor, and it's great to do serious, but it's great to see that side of you guys too. I like that.
Since you're mentioning that, that's another funny coincidence, because The person responsible for our videos, like our director and editor and everything, is Chris Kells, which is my bassist in The Agonist. And a lot of these ideas, like the food fight idea, for example,
In Kings Today.
in Kings Today, is something he was wanting to do for years, and he could not find a band that wanted to do something like that, because going back to like, oh no, it's metal, it's serious, we just gotta look cool. And I was like, 3-4 years later, I'm like, hey, I think I have the perfect song for you, take a listen. And it's cool because we have that dynamic, because he's super appreciative that he gets to get his fun, quirky ideas on the table, and we're just like, yeah, we trust you, work your magic.
Yeah, that's one thing that's pretty awesome about Sicksense, and like what I like to do with our music is like incorporate the ideas from other people outside of the band, because it's like they do feel like they are a part of the band. For me, it's like it's not just the actual musicians and band members. To me, it's like Chris Kells is a big part of Sicksense as well, with his visuals, and it brings a whole other element to our music, and it brings it to life in a visual capacity.
No, that's definitely fun, and it's I think it's greatly appreciated for the fans. Is it a bit liberating to step away from what you do and then put this together?
Yeah, because I feel like as long as you're doing things that you love, it gives you almost like a chance to miss it. Like when I was on the road, especially I think in 2019, I think I spent 7 or 8 months out of the year away from home, either like recording or touring or practicing with The Agonist. And I love it. I love everything I do there, but I was like, man, I just want to come home, So I think now being at home, I'm like, man, I just want to tour. But I think when you have all these sides to your personality, you have to explore them. And as a musician, I personally have all these influences and genres of music that I love, that like, if you put me on one side for too long, I don't grow to hate it. I just feel almost like I'm suppressed, almost like I feel like I could be doing so much more. So it's very nice to have that balance where it's like 1 or 2 months I'm going to be focused on this, next period I'm going to be focused on something else, or sometimes both at the same time. Like right now we're releasing stuff with Sicksense, but I'm preparing to go on tour with The Agonist next month. So I love it. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, just to quickly add, we're part of multiple projects, and we do various things in music and outside of music. So whenever we're focusing on one thing, we like tend to focus 110% on the one thing at a time, and then move on to the next. And that's how we work. That's our work ethic.
Is the goal eventually one day to walk off your tour buses and then jump onto a Sicksense tour bus and take off and keep going?
I mean, if we're going from one tour bus to another tour bus, then I think that's a good sign, because it's not as glamorous as people think. We don't often even get to have a tour bus. Usually it's like, here, get in a smelly van and sleep in the van and drive to the next city. So I think but
yeah, if we could do that, if like Vicky was doing something with The Agonist and then she gets off a tour with them, and then like we have something with Sicksense lined up, I think that's the ultimate goal. That would be a lot of fun.
I was going to ask this question later because I didn't want to get anybody into a fight, but what are some of the things that are going to bother you if you guys have to go on tour together as husband and wife and be in that smelly van and then go on stage and be happy or be entertaining?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure we're going to have an argument just like anybody. Like bands have arguments amongst each other anyways. We just don't bring that to the spotlight. But I will say I'm a little happy I won't have to be the only one dealing with him 24/7.
You sound like my wife.
Other people. So
yeah, I'm a bit of a energizer battery. I'm just always active and driving her crazy. So, but like whenever we do have arguments, like as a couple, anyways, we're always playful with it. Like, cause like I'm just a joker anyways, and I tend to joke around in general. So it might get more annoying more than being like mean or anything.
I think my wife wants to put that on my headstone someday. He was really annoying. So I think, Rob, you and we both have the same name, and I think we both have the same personality. You know,
there you go.
We can hang out on tour, but my wife, you know, we go on vacation sometimes, and we're just like, really, really, you're annoying me. I don't know. And I know for a fact I can't do cruise ships because the cruise ship is not big enough to contain me and what I want to do every day. It's just I would be bored instantly. So that's my personality.
That's awesome.
um, my next question kind of spins off of that. When writing and recording, where do you see eye to eye and where do you differ? Is it things that you prefer to see and do in your music that maybe the other one thinks differently?
I think we're very different in our songwriting in general. Like, I can't write lyrics the way Robby does, and he can't write like I do. But I think there's that mutual respect, like I respect what he can do because I can't do it myself.
Mhm.
And the other way around, I don't think I've ever written like a vocal melody and Robby's come up to me and said like, "Hey, I don't like the thing you're singing right now, change it." There's that respect where it's like when I can't do something and the other person can do it better than I can even imagine, let them take the wheel, and I trust you. So we do have that.
Yeah, sometimes like mostly in Sicksense, I am writing the majority of the lyrics, but then there's sometimes like during the songwriting process where I just get a mental block and like I'm like I have no idea what to put here, and then for whatever reason, that's where Vicky comes in and she knows exactly what to do. It's like, oh, this is speaking to her, and she comes up with these insane melodies and great lyrics. So I'm very grateful and appreciative of that. Because it's like whenever I do have a mental block, it's like, okay, well, we got this empty spot here, and then Vicky comes in. And then in terms of lyric writing, I would just say, like at least in our approach in Sicksense, I tend to write lyrics that are more reality based. They're just like more straight up, and I just try to use interesting wordplay and analogies to
Mhm.
get my point across. Whereas when Vicky comes in with her lyric writing, she tends to take you into like a different atmosphere and like a different world. She has like this very I'd say Tim Burton-esque, like Alice in Wonderland style of
Yeah.
vocal lyric writing, and it just takes you away to like this fantasy land. And I think the blend between the two of us, like in Sicksense, is very interesting in that regard, and it's going to be more apparent, especially as we release even more music.
That's a great assessment. That's a great assessment. I like that. Speaking of that, you sing about some serious topics and write lyrics about some serious topics, like on Forgotten Days. Tell me the importance of speaking out and creating awareness while helping to bring a change.
Well, I think you have to write from the heart and you have to write about the things that you're passionate about.
Right.
This isn't the case with every band, of course. Like some bands prefer to make it more about the music and the lyrics, and they can come across a little bit cheesy or fun, party songs and whatnot. But I think for us and a lot of musicians in heavy music, there's a reason we turned to heavy music. We have a lot of demons inside of us and a lot of thoughts that we just need to put out. And I think, given for both of us that English is our first language as well, I think that helps a lot because I can see I have a lot of friends in like European bands and they struggle a little bit sometimes in translating what's going on in their head, in a intelligent way, let's say on paper. But I think that makes it easier, and I just think we have to just talk about what we're feeling, and I think that's what helps us to like not be in a box. Like sometimes we'll write, or Robby will mostly write lyrics like, let's say, that are more societal, more like what's happening in the world right now. But then he'll have a song like Forgotten Days that you mentioned where it's like it's about him, about his past and his personal struggles.
Yeah. That's a great assessment right there.
Yeah.
I just to add to that, it's like yeah, like I come from a hip hop background, and like as a rapper, it's all about keeping it real. And what that means to me is like people are not one-dimensional beings. There's like multiple layers to us, and we go through multiple experiences. And through music, I think it's like an outlet to express yourself, and you can have the fun party songs, as Vicky mentioned, but it's like you could also talk about your struggles and put it through your music, and it's taking this negative energy that you've been put through and you manifest it into something positive. It's like you're grabbing it, storing it up, and just putting it out back into the world in a positive way, and letting people know that, hey, you can get through this. And like I think that's another thing that's cool about Sicksense is we do try to have more uplifting lyrics. If there is anything dark or a bit on the depressing side of things, there's like a light at the end of every tunnel, and like we try to come full circle and get out of it, because that's what life's about. We all have our ups and downs. You can't have the good days without going through the bad, and that's what makes life beautiful. So
that's a great sentiment. Is it ever a concern maybe of putting that personal aspect out there, maybe it's a little too sensitive or a little too touchy, or maybe you don't want to really share it. Tell me a little bit about that option that you want to share that.
I think for myself at least, when you share something with the world and someone reads it and feels like they can connect because they've had a similar experience, it makes them feel less alone. I've been told from people in my community that, I don't know, if at first they put you on this pedestal, they think like you're a musician, you're a performer, you're not like me. And then they get to know you and they're like, wait, Vicky is talking about the things that are going on in my head and she's feeling the same way that I'm feeling. And it helps them, I feel, get out of that dark place if they know that someone else and someone that they look up to is also going through that.
Right.
So I think in knowing that, it helps sort of move that obstacle away that you might feel like maybe scared to open up with the world and share these sentiments, because you know that ultimately you're helping other people.
That's great. That's great. Do people come up to you, fans of your bands come up to you and say, these lyrics really got me through a very difficult time, or help me out? I'm sure you get that.
Yeah, it has
Mhm.
happened in many instances, especially when you highlight the lyrics,
Yeah.
especially when you post like the video and you take, a sentence or something from the lyrics that you think is really powerful, then you're making people notice them. Because let's be honest, most people, when they first listen to a song, they don't necessarily catch all the lyrics,
Mhm.
So if you want your lyrics to be heard, I think you have to highlight them.
Yeah, and it makes
Like
you
that.
really relatable, and lets like your audience know that, hey, they're just human beings. They're just people too, and they're going through the same thing that I'm going through, or they went through it, and it's relatable. And I think that's what art should be about. It should be like a reflection of society and what people are going through. And if you're not relatable, well, I don't know, you're just doing something
That's
that's a little
okay too.
robotic. That's okay too. Yeah, it's
Just
fine.
enjoy the song.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you're enjoying it,
Yeah. We touched upon your vocal elements. Was there anything like you really wanted to focus on with your vocal elements? I know the rap and the screaming and the singing. Is that something you really wanted to incorporate in this? Was there anything else that maybe you do in your bands that you didn't want to do in this to maybe segregate it?
I don't think so. I don't
Mhm.
think we like think about that beforehand. I think we just write to each song as we're given it.
hmm
And we're like, this riff, man, I want to scream on this riff. Or no, this riff calls for some like flow and rap and this and that. Or this is a singing part. I don't think we don't like predetermine that, because then I feel like you're gonna put yourself in a box.
Yeah,
Right.
but that being said, that's one element to like the songwriting process. But when I did consider asking Vicky to join the band, I did ask with the intention of giving her another outlet to do more with her vocals, because she is in the Agonist, which is a melodic death metal band,
Right.
but they tend to have like more screaming elements and singing, whereas like being in a more kind of like fun environment that's like open ended, where like we could do whatever we want in Sicksense, it allows her to explore different vocal styles. Like in Forgotten Days, she kind of has more of an R&B type of flow to her singing. That's something she just can't do. It doesn't make sense to do in the Agonist, but she's able to do it in Sicksense. So
Awesome. Awesome. When you do those screams, I have to wonder, because everybody screams now and then. How long does it hurt for? Does it not hurt you anymore? Did it take a while to get used to screaming like that? Because that's some serious growling.
Yeah, it's like muscle memory, and it's like working out a muscle. As long as you do it and you do it consistently, maybe not every single day, but like a few times a week, then it's fine. But like even to this day, if I don't scream, let's say for a month, and I go to scream after a month, it's not gonna sound good. It's not gonna feel good.
Wow.
It's just, yeah, it's like I said, it's like working out, like imagine you never step foot in a gym and then you go to lift like really heavy weights one day, you're gonna
Yes.
injure yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Do you
It's
guys get professional training to keep your voice in shape so you can do that? Because, I hear it and I go, oh my God, it hurts me, to think that somebody's actually screaming like that.
No,
uh,
I think we've never had lessons with anyone
yeah.
about this. We learned it through, I guess, like just listening to your body and like what feels good and what sounds good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And after many years of doing it, you kind of figure out what works for you and what
What we're
doesn't.
comfortable with. Yeah, we're
Right.
both self-taught. Yeah, and it's like Vicky said, it's like a muscle. Like in the same regard with that topic, it's like I could like scream for about 2 hours, but if I try to like push it 3 or 4 hours, it's gonna hurt. It's like you
Yeah.
can't be lifting like all day long either. That's gonna hurt you
Right.
as well. You're just gonna injure
Know your
yourself. So
limits.
you have
Yeah.
to know your limits. And being a vocalist and especially the styles that we do, you have to know to take it easy. It's like we're not guitarists where we can just shred all day long and like all we'll get is calluses, but we can keep
Yeah.
going. Vocalists can't do that, and we're gonna like blow our voices out. So
Yeah.
Do you have to take a day off or like between shows, or do you not talk during the day? I mean, I hear a lot of that stuff when I speak with artists.
Yeah, well, I think only if you feel it. Only if you wake up that day and like your voice is sounding scratchy, or maybe it's dropped a few tones, you know, like say my normal speaking voice is where it is, but I wake up one day and it's like down here, you know, it's like
Yeah.
overuse. And then I would be like, okay, today I'm not talking, I'm taking a day off. But only really if you push a little too much. Technically, if you're doing everything right and you're watching yourself, you should be able to do it every single day.
Awesome.
our
Yeah.
warm-ups, our vocal warm-ups protect us. So
Yeah, that's true.
That's
too.
our
Yeah,
secret.
that's also important,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, I remember being backstage and Jeff Tate from Queensryche, when he was in
Yeah.
Queensryche at the time, I could hear him in the other room, and clearly he was singing and screaming into a towel, and I could, you know, it was muffled because I was right next to the room, but yeah, I could hear him doing the vocal exercises. It was kind of cool to hear that. So I want to be respectful of your time, and my last question is: you talked about more songs coming out, and tell me a little bit about that, and tell me about a tour. Do you see yourself doing a tour together anytime soon?
Do you want to take?
Sure. Well, like Rob mentioned, we have more songs that have already been recorded, which we didn't want to release all at once.
Mhm.
So we don't have a release date for that, but we're thinking late this year or early
Very early
2023.
2023.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to wait too long,
Mhm.
because I feel like 5 songs are going to drop now, and then people are going to be hyped, and we don't want to wait too long for the next.
So talking about the second EP, we did do 3 music videos for our Kings Today EP, and we're actually going to be
Hoping.
filming another music video for the follow-up EP. So we're going to
Awesome.
start working on that like right away. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
we don't want to have like another Forgotten Days where it's like we didn't have a music video for Forgotten Days and we filmed it 3 weeks before the release.
Yeah, last minute, like remotely, all separately.
Remotely,
so-
we filmed back here.
ourselves. Chris Kells directed it and edited
Yeah.
everything together. So
Awesome.
We don't want a repeat of that. We're trying to like get
Yeah.
ahead of the curve. So that's for releasing material, and then for tours, you know, with 5 songs, we could jump on a tour, let's say opening slot 20-25 minutes, but we're not like pushing for that. If an opportunity presents and we meet the right people, like we're open to it, but I think we'd all feel a little more comfortable having both EPs out and then being like, okay, we have 10 songs, let's see what we can do.
yeah, we're
Smart.
we're very patient. We've been waiting all this time to release this music. We're also patient to play shows. We're not anxious at all. It's like we know we're gonna do a great live show and it's gonna be a lot of fun, but all in due time. All in due
Yeah.
time.
It sounds well thought out. So kudos to you guys. It sounds really well thought out and
Thank you.
releasing it out to the world. So I just want to thank you so much for your time. It was a really pleasure to speak with you and a real fascinating interview. So thank you again.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for your
Have a
time.
good day.
Great.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Heavy metal rock.
Global mind.